after settling a lawsuit with the voting machine software company Dominion for $787 million, Fox News has fired its cash cow Klansman, Tucker Carlson. Wow. And apparently, without warning, 10 minutes before the world found out, Tucker Carlson himself also found out that he was being fired. No longer, folks, will we hear the screeching dog whistles in the night. No longer will we hear that sort of pompous, just prickish laugh or that confused, furrowed brow that wants you to know that the January 6th rioters were just peaceful patriots. This is a huge loss for racists around the country, and I just want to give them maybe a moment of silence. Which actually they probably need because they've been just way too much barking in their ears about people of color and immigrants.
Rest in peace, the Tucker Carlson show on Fox News. No, this is, I was as shocked as anybody else to hear the news because this show is so successful. It is their most popular program on there. And, we know Fox News exists for money and for power, right? They want to draw viewers. Those viewers bring them cash by way of advertisers. And because they have an audience, people like, say, the former president of the United States have to play ball with them, have to kiss up to them, have to, basically acquiesce to whatever their needs are at any given time. And so, yeah, it's a money and influence peddling machine. So it's surprising that their most popular entity would get canceled, right?
Yes,
and not the cancel that we're talking about.
They self-canceled this right crime, man. They gone woke. And you're right. It is a hermetically sealed sort of feedback influence loop, just like not really a human centipede, but just ass to mouth on both of them. I'm sorry, that's so gross, but that's how I do it on this show. I want to just read, and this was the best part of it, the press release from Fox News. This was yesterday explaining that Tucker Carlson, not only will he not have a show, but that his, quote, last program was Friday, April 21st. And Fox News Tonight will air live 8 p.m. Eastern starting this evening as an interim show helmed by rotating Fox News personalities until a new host is named. I don't actually know who the host was last night. Was it just like a really, just a empty shushing sound? Maybe we can find out who the hell was standing in. But he was that was his last show. So we know that this shit was unannounced. It was a surprise. It came down, and we also know that it came down from the top dog, Rupert Murdoch, and I believe was passed on to Lachlan Murdoch, who Lachlan and Tucker were friends. And there was no time for goodbye. It was like something is coming at them, and we'll talk about maybe what that is. But yeah, this like it's very curious that they would just do this in one fell swoop.
Yeah, I mean, that's you hear about this stuff in network television where when they fire a guy, it's kind of like, we don't want to allow the guy to do another show because we don't know what the hell he's going to do up there if we give him a microphone. It's sort of like, people who have worked at different corporate entities when they get shit canned, there's always like security just ominously waiting at the exit to be like, listen, you can make this orderly or you can get dealt with. And that's sort of Fox News's version of this, where it's just like, nope, you're not getting back on the air. We'll let you come in, or you can send somebody to get your stuff, but no, it's not happening. I think you're muted, Fran. For whatever reason, I can't hear you.
I muted myself. Can you imagine if there was security that had to escort Tucker out as he had to put his little dancing, dandelion model thing into his little he probably has a Civil War reenactment. No, not the Civil War, because he's on obviously the Confederate side of
maybe
that.
Like a Birth of a Nation reenactment.
Yeah. The mint edition copy, everything going in as he's walking away with a box. Yeah, his key card didn't work. fuck, he had to use the guest bathrooms because the key card
It's so tough, and you know, you want to laugh at somebody who's been so destructive within the culture with his insane rhetoric, particularly the replacement theory stuff. This
oof.
idea that the Mexicans are going to replace the whites, as if we don't just invent new whites out of whole cloth every day here in America. Like, no, but seriously, Frank, like seriously,
We
you
make whites.
we invent whites. Like when your people first came to America, Italian people were not white.
It's true.
It was like,
Chinese are still waiting on their whiteness, but
I
there's,
mean,
there's some
you
model
know,
minority there.
listen, the Cubans in Miami get to be white now. Like, can't nobody tell me Ted Cruz ain't white.
Yeah.
That's a white man. He's white. We make new white people all the time.
Do
So
you
this
think
idea
Ted
that we're gonna
Cruz?
run out is crazy.
That's really funny. Well, okay, my whole thing about the great replacement theory, not to get into it, but as someone who's mixed race, it's very annoying because it is still the one drop rule. Like the last census was like, oh, there are more white people. No, there's more people of color who are mixed race. So what are
Mm,
you talking about? You're saying, sorry, it said that there were fewer white people. It's like, oh, because they're mixed race?
sure.
Sounds like there's more white people. Sounds like there's more franchises of white. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? Like you can't. That's not. What are you going to adhere to a one drop bullshit rule in the year 2023? The fuck is
Dude,
wrong with you? You know?
listen, the Greeks, the Italians, the Polish people, the Jews, none of these people were white at first.
Well,
We
don't
just
say that. Don't say that in Fox News. That will absolutely get you fired from the Tucker Tonight Show. In fact, and this is something more we should get into. Why Tucker Carlson might have been out very, very quickly is that there was a culture in the office
yeah.
of rampant sexism and anti-Semitism. But I want to get into
I
that.
can't believe that. That's
I
crazy.
know.
Could
How?
you imagine that happening at an
Yeah.
institution like Fox News?
I mean,
Wow, shocked.
I just thought it was all for show, but behind
Um,
closed doors, they really knew how to separate sort of the performance from the people. And no, Um, if only, if only. Can you imagine he gets off stage and he's like, or off stage, he gets off air and he's just like a great person? No, that dude is an asswipe piece of shit through and through. Anyway, but so this is the New York Times. Their supposition, what their sources are telling them why Murdoch made this decision so quickly. The Dominion lawsuit unearthed private comments by Carlson in which he often profanely disparaged colleague sources and perhaps crucially his bosses.
mm.
Ah, aha. Okay. See, I think when you say some shit about the Murdochs, like whatever it is, that definitely could get you fired pretty quickly. Or a former producer, who we're going to talk about, and her lawsuit against Fox News for accusing Carlson of overseeing a hostile and discriminatory work environment. And finally, the Murdochs may have reportedly grown tired of trying to corral a controversial host who proudly says he can't be controlled. Which I think is an interesting sort of balance, right? Waz, it's like
Mhm.
we want to keep our cash cow because he pretends like he's independent when we pay him millions and millions of dollars and have tons of corporate sponsors. This is the least independent shit in media you could possibly do, is working for Fox News.
Yeah, if Tucker would have read Marx, he would have understood the concept of the surplus value of labor. And so, yes, we can pay your ass millions of dollars so long as you're not getting us sued for tens of millions
Yes.
by your ex-producer. And yeah, you are just a worker. You just work there. You're a valuable worker. But once you create the circumstances that allow for a massive lawsuit to come your way, yeah,
Right.
you put yourself at risk and you make yourself vulnerable, man. I don't believe, like, I honestly don't even believe in the idea that they're petty enough to be like, in his correspondence he complained about his bosses. Has there ever been a worker in the history of work who didn't complain about their bosses? Like, there's not one
Right.
person. I don't think these people are that stupid to understand that. But when you are
Costing
essentially
them money.
the catalyst of a massive lawsuit right after we paid $750 million for something else. Yeah. I can see why heads would roll in that circumstance.
Well, this is the thing. So let's talk about this lawsuit, because first it was the Dominion lawsuit that obviously they settled. And now there's two more lawsuits coming at them from a former producer who was a booker for Maria Bartiromo's show and then became a producer at Tucker Carlson's show, Tucker Carlson Tonight, or whatever the hell it was called. Her name's Abby Grossberg. And yes, she is a woman. And that is just on its face interesting, because you're like, why would a woman subject themselves to that environment? But look, Fox is a massive corporation, and no, sadly, they can't pass up all female applicants, although they would like to, or all people of color. There are probably some Black people that work at Fox. Not a lot,
Yeah.
but there's a few.
There's always a couple, Fran, who's willing.
Right, exactly. And I'm sure the pay is good. And this is so what happened is that Abby, they were basically priming her to be the main fall gal in the Dominion lawsuit trial, to say that she was the one who allowed, Sidney Powell and others, Rudy Giuliani, to go on air and spew lies about Dominion, when in fact the opposite happened. She was someone who was actually raising red flags about it. But here she is talking, this is, I believe, to NBC, about her decision. Like, this is a few weeks ago. This got completely like eclipsed by the Trump indictment, but here she is.
Did the Fox lawyers attempt to intimidate you, harass you, push you to say things that were not true?
Oh, 100% they did, yeah. And I realized that the answers that they wanted me to say were putting me in a very vulnerable position to be the company's scapegoat. It's really, really terrifying to think that you could be the fall guy in perhaps the biggest media case our country's ever had.
You were widely criticized.
Yeah.
How'd that feel? I mean, people said you were a lousy journalist because, among other things, you had said in reply to a question that you did not believe that it was your responsibility to fact check whether or not what someone was going to say on the broadcast was telling the truth.
It felt awful. I was bullied, intimidated, and coerced into saying that just to keep my job and stay at the company. And the question a lot of people would have is, why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
Because I made the decision to keep my job.
Okay, so there she is. And she's talking about the first instance, which has led to her first lawsuit against Fox News, which is, you guys were coaching me and coercing me to take the fall for you. And then she was fired, obviously, after the lawsuit. But the second part of it is about this hostile work environment and like harassment as well. Not directly against her, but she says that in the lawsuit naming Mr. Carlson, that male producers regularly use vulgarities to describe women and frequently made anti-Semitic jokes. On her first day working for Mr. Carlson, Ms. Grossberg said she discovered the office was decorated with large pictures of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wearing a plunging swimsuit. She said she was once called into the top producer's office to be asked whether Miss Bartiromo was having a sexual relationship with the House Republican leader, Kevin McCarthy, because she was, again, her booker. I guess the anti-Semitic remarks, I'm like, yeah, it's Fox. Yeah. Sexist remarks, it's Fox. The images of Nancy Pelosi in a swimsuit is like, yeah, I know you think this is funny, but I think you secretly want to fuck Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi having huge cans has become an internet like meme over the past year or so for whatever reason. Like the crazy thing about that, Francesca, is that I was not aware of this for the basically 15 years prior that she was in my consciousness until this year. It's all over the internet. So I'm not surprised that Tucker Carlson and these ghouls.
You're like, how you've been holding, are you mad? You're like, I've known Nancy for so long. I had no idea she was stabbed.
I would not use mad is not the descriptor I would use. I was surprised.
Nancy's been holding out. Nancy's been holding out on us. It is so, like, she's an 83-year-old woman. She's 83. Please. Can we not? And like, I don't
Yeah.
want to think about her boo. I'm just sorry. Oh, I don't want to think about her
The
tits.
stuff the right was doing, like the stuff they do around Pelosi, it reminds me of Hillary Clinton stuff too. Like they just really hate those two as figures. When her husband was attacked, it was like, oh, her gay closeted husband, his lover attacked. It was just like the craziest stuff. And I think in the process of prying into her love life, they were like, oh, Nancy Pelosi, Holden.
Yeah. Brandy Nuances shouting out my Pelosi impression. They're all natural. Okay. Thank you. 100%. I can't blame you. And what is it? The green dream? This is your dream. You're dreaming of me, aren't you? Just like that's, and so this is the thing, right? Because like even places that are vile as Fox News, as vile as Newsmax, as vile as the Daily Wire, they're still corporations that have to have some kind of decorum of like a workplace that doesn't involve everyday hostilities. But of course, all they do every single day is go on air and talk about how that decorum is total crap, and that decorum is trying to make you woke and trying to turn you in, gay or effeminate or like effeminate, whatever it is, feminize you, whatever the hell it is.
Oh,
I don't
okay,
know.
my bad.
It's trying to like make you. It's trying to make you weak. Yeah, that you're a feminazi, and it's just like, yeah. I get that, but like, also, this is the other thing about news. Largely, producers in newsrooms are women. And and there's a lot of reasons for that, right? Women are very much like producers do everything. They're across everything. They multitask. They are yes people. They like set everything up. They do the behind the scenes work that women in every field so often do or are relegated to. So it's like yeah. No. Try to put together an entire effing newsroom with no women. You can't. And again, Grossberg also says that she asked and other women asked for raises multiple times and were passed over and denied. So it just, we will see. We'll see what happens. But any thoughts on where Tucker lands, and on any thoughts on where who's going to replace him?
I mean, I think the leader in the clubhouse is probably the Jesse Waters character. I wouldn't be surprised if he stepped up to the plate. Just another face in the suit. But I don't think it'll make that much of a difference. If you say the right things into a mic on Fox News airwaves, you're gonna do numbers. And so that's a thing that it's just like, yo, we replaced Bill O'Reilly. Like that guy was way bigger than Tucker Carlson when they fired him. And so yeah, I could see Jesse Waters being up in there.
The only difference is like how well you can put your own individual spin on it, because you hear their lines. It's like, the talking point came down this week, and it's like the woke mind virus, and you hear Jeanine Pirro, the woke mind. I mean, everyone says, and you can see like Janine's actually very bad at reading prompter, and she's very bad at like making it seem like she thought of these ideas herself. I mean, she's honestly drunk half the time, which that's like the most relatable thing about her. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do